Congressman Paul Ryan is on the line, but he may have to go vote any minute. Are you still with us, Congressman?
Yeah, I am. Hey, Mitch, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. If you have to go vote, just go ahead and go vote. And then, how long does it take to vote, by the way?
I'm in the cloakroom, so it's about a 15 to 17 yard walk.
So we just can hold the line over?
Yeah, you can hold the line if you want.
So then you run over there and vote and come back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I can just tell a joke or whatever, and we'll be fine.
Just tell a fairly long one, and we'll be good.
Congressman, I want to ask you first about the debt and becoming Greece. We heard from Bill Beach of Heritage saying...
Sure, he's a good economist, I know.
The CPI, we should use Consumer Price Index, not the Wage Price Index on Social Security. We could save money there. Don't do any more TARP funding. If we haven't spent it, don't spend it, and don't do any more. And basically privatize Fannie and Freddie and a few other things. Is he on track there, and what would you advocate?
Yeah, well, I actually put out a budget last year that rescinded the rest of TARP funds. I've obviously been in favor of doing that for quite some time. Number one. Number two, there's a lot of spending we could cut right now. There's a lot of stimulus that didn't even go to create jobs, just more bureaucracy spending. Should rescind a bunch of that money, I would say, because it didn't do what it was intended to do. On Social Security, I have a different proposal than what Bill just mentioned. But I do have a plan that actually saves Social Security, makes it permanently solvent, and it guarantees the current benefit structure for people 55 and above. And then it puts the system on a sustainable future, so it will actually be there for your generation, my generation.
What's the key change that you're advocating on that?
Well, what I propose is, again, guarantee the benefits for people in and near retirement, 55 and above. For people 54 and below, I embrace what I call progressive indexing, which is price index for the higher income earners, which is a form of means testing, and then wage, and then a mixture of wage and price index for middle income earners, and then wage index, the current structure for lower income earners. So the point I make is, if you're a wealthier person, your benefits won't increase as much as it would for lower income.
You're still going to get back what you put in, but you won't get.
Oh yeah, you'll get back what you. Yeah. So, you won't get back what you put in under the current system we have today. Because the way the law works is it's whatever money's coming in is what can be paid out. So, for instance, you and I are about the same age.
Well, you're talking about from a fiscal actuarial. I'm talking about as an individual. Don't most individuals who pay into Social Security over their lives get it all back in 4 years?
Current generation, that answer is yes. Future generations, the answer is no. At my age or your age, we're going to get about a 1% rate of return on our money. My 3 children who are 5, 6, and 8 under the current formula, they'll get about a negative 1% rate of return on their payroll tax dollars. So the younger you are, the worse the deal gets. And so what I would do is do the changes I just mentioned and give younger people an option, if they want to have it, of either staying in the traditional program, which gives them this deterioration of their benefit, meaning a worse deal, or let them take a third of their payroll taxes and put it in a personal account exactly managed like I have as a member of Congress and a federal employee, where Social Security would manage their account in very safe index funds to help them get a better rate of return.
Would that be a 100% penalty if you take it out?
Well, yeah, you can't take it out until you retire.
You can't take it out. Okay, so
you can't take it out until you retire.
That solves the attack that you're privatizing an entitlement.
No, it doesn't privatize it, because that would mean you could take your money to a stockbroker and let them do whatever.
Right. Well,
this is managed by Social Security.
The congresswoman from Florida was on with you on Fox a few weeks ago, and it said you were trying to privatize and end Medicare as an entitlement. Getting away from Social Security, but Medicare, and to that you say what?
Well, under her definition, then it's already privatized, because Medicare already uses private providers to deliver the benefit. What I basically propose for Medicare is convert the system for people 54 and below to work exactly like the federal employee health benefit system, which I have as a member of Congress. And so she calls that privatizing. Medicare already does that in many instances through Medicare Advantage. And so what I propose, and this is what the Medicare actuaries tell me, makes Medicare permanently solvent, saves the system, and prevents it from having to be a rationed healthcare system, which is the path we're on right now. You get a payment from the federal government to select among a book of pre-certified insurers, just like we do in Congress, and you pick the insurer that meets your need. And the payment is equal to the average Medicare payment we have today, and it grows every year with inflation and healthcare costs. And what I do is this. I say for lower income people, you get a higher payment to cover all your out-of-pocket costs. For higher income people, you don't get as much of a payment because you're a wealthy person and you can afford more. For people who get sick, you get more payments as your health condition deteriorates, so that you can keep your insurance rates lower, so that you don't have to go poor if you get sick. And so doing it that way copying the same kind of a system we have for federal employees, for members of Congress, for the future Medicare populations, puts it on a much more sustainable trajectory and pays off its $38 trillion of unfunded liability. And it doesn't change anything for people 55 and above. The point I make with all of this, Mitch, is if we act now to fix our fiscal problem, to preemptively deal with our debt crisis, we won't have a debt crisis, and people who are now on these programs won't be harmed. But if we do not act soon, if we just keep kicking the can down the road, point fingers at each other politically, then we will have a Greece-like situation on our hands.
Because what you just described as your Medicare reform proposal seems reasonable, but you were being attacked as somebody who wants to privatize Medicare on Fox Sunday.
So that's what is happening, which is, I get this from the left, and it is basically an attempt to demagogue any attempt to rein these things in. And if that succeeds, if this kind of political demagoguery occurs and is successful politically, that means we don't fix our fiscal situation. We keep going down this path where we have an unsustainable debt, and we will have a debt crisis where we have to have real painful reforms like you're seeing in Europe right now.
Well, but it sounds like the remedy that we're getting from the powers that be, because you are in the minority, I don't know how much longer that'll be the case, Congressman, but we've got Erskine Bowles, we've got Alan Simpson on this commission. They say everything's on the table, which includes tax increases. And I would think we would watch our European friends demonstrate how high taxes do not solve your fiscal problems.
It doesn't. I mean, I'm a commissioner on the commission as well.
You are? Yes, I'm sorry.
So obviously, I make those points as well.
Yes, you do.
Erskine and Allen are very clear with my position.
Are they the co-chairs? Is that the deal?
They're the co-chairs.
Okay, sorry. You're not a chairman, but you're on there. How many people are on there, by the way?
Let's see. There's 8 Republicans and 12 Democrats, I believe.
So they don't put chopped liver on the commission. You got to be pretty smart.
Well,
you're the poster boy anyway these days.
So I've now arrived at the level where I'm not chopped liver. I appreciate that.
Oh, not at all. But okay, so we've got it. We're deal with that. But they say everything's on the table, and I know you're against tax increases.
So here's the problem, and there have been study after study after study. There's a new one out of Harvard just recently that says for the countries that try to tax their way out of these problems, that never works. It slows down their economies. It hurts business growth and development. It stunts entrepreneurial small business development. But the money gets spent. It doesn't get saved.
No, they never save anything.
And so every time you raise revenues around here, guess what? It gets gobbled up and spent. You got to deal with the spending problem. That is the problem. We don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. That is the thing that's got to be dealt with.
And I agree with that, but I do think there are people out there, Congressman, that have class warfare in their blood, and they see the hedge fund guys with the $3 billion or whatever the case. They see $100 million for Bob Rubin to be on the board at Citibank, and then they offered money to the Rose Bowl for advertising, and didn't need bailout money. And they see all that, and they think they need to be taxed more. So, I mean, it's a populist appeal.
It is. So class warfare makes for darn good politics. The problem is it makes for horrendous economics, because for every Bob Rubin you want to get, you end up getting the little guy, the small businessman, the entrepreneur. The problem is Bob Rubin pays the individual income tax the same as small businesses do. And that's our problem, which is, there is definitely a casino capitalism problem in Wall Street. There's a crony capitalism problem in Washington. That stuff's got to get cleaned up. You can't have a system where people in privileged positions can have more information, can trade on that information, and can, basically do so at the expense of everybody else. You got to have more accountability and transparency in our markets. We as a party have failed on that as well. Democrats are making the same mistakes, I would argue, right now, which is there's this nexus. It's kind of like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, where large established businesses are coming to government and rewriting the rules to stack it in their favor. Republicans made that mistake, and now Democrats are. And we've got to get back to being pro-market, pro-little guy, meaning the rules are the same for everybody, and that we have low taxes in this country so that it's easier for people to start businesses, create jobs, and get ahead.
Okay.